Every year, countless consumers unknowingly settle for subpar repairs simply because they don't have the right information. In this video, I'm going to give you several essential resources that every consumer should know before ever stepping into a repair shop or negotiating with an insurance company. By the time we're done, you'll know what questions to ask, how to find someone you can trust, and some of the roadblocks you might experience along the way. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the airing of grievances. And you'll probably recognize that this is not our normal set, and that's because here in Colorado, we have had a week full of a first snowstorm that has just kind of kept giving and giving, and it has kept me at home. And Rob has been busy working on other things. So you've got me to deal with today, and I'm thankful that you're here. If you see something valuable, would you please give the thumbs up? We appreciate that. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit the notify bell. That tells you that every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. in the Mountain Standard Time, we will be posting another airing of grievances. And believe it or not, this is episode number 200. We are right around the corner from finishing up our fourth year. We call it season 4, and going into the 5th season of this series. And it's this series that is going to be one of the very first things that I tell you about as a resource. We started the airing of grievances back in January of 2021 for the main purpose of having a consumer-focused or a consumer-forward resource that you could go to see the behind the scenes or behind the curtain in the collision industry. Here at Nylund's Collision Center, which is where we are based in Englewood, Colorado, we do our very best to adhere to the best practices of our industry. And Rob Grieve, of course, the namesake of our series, is pretty determined to make sure that we do everything the way that it should be done. There's only one right way to do a repair, and that is by following the original equipment manufacturer's procedures, using original equipment manufacturer's parts, and making sure that everything is done properly. And, could you use aftermarket parts? Sure, you could. But we choose not to do that. And the reason we do is because, well, there's a host of reasons, but not the least of which is there's no standardized testing for those parts. By their very definition, they have to be different than the original equipment manufacturer's parts, and they don't always fit the way that they should. And there's a whole lot of other things that go along with that. And we've got a bunch of different titles that you can peruse through our playlist. And I guess maybe that's the first thing I should let you know. We have a playlist of those now 200 videos that talk about various things that you might encounter if you ever need the services of a collision center. Now, you'll also understand that we also talk about some of the pitfalls that you might experience in the process of choosing that collision center. You're going to probably encounter situations with the insurance company, and many insurance companies, even though they're really not supposed to, they steer you in the direction of doing business with their partner collision centers. And while that's not necessarily the worst thing, you have some challenges that you'll face, because if you go with one of their partner shops, that shop does not necessarily put you first, but instead what they do is they put their insurance partner first. And that means that the insurer dictates the repair plan, and they are not allowed to deviate from it. And the reason that's not such a great thing is that then you are no longer their primary focus. Your safety is no longer their primary focus. They are looking after their bottom line and protecting the insurance company's bottom line. So the airing of grievances was designed to give you insight and information about those kinds of things and give you resources of what you can do. Recently, we had a conversation about the appraisal clause and how you can invoke the appraisal clause, when you can invoke the appraisal clause, and what that can mean to you if, after an accident, you get into a situation where it's going to cost you extra money. But I want to make sure that you understand that we know that we're not the only resource for you. In fact, we point out a number of them all the time. One of the associations that is very helpful, at least for the people in the insurance industry, is known as SCRS. That's the Society of Collision Repair Specialists. SCRS is a leading industry association that is advocating for safe, high quality repairs. And they really do advocate. They advocate on all kinds of different bases, including legislative and then within the industry itself. As I am filming this, the SEMA show and the Collision Industry Conference down in Las Vegas is just wrapping up. That show happens every year. The CIC, the Collision Industry Conference, takes place every quarter, and it is a way that people can keep their fingers on the pulse of what's happening in the industry. And of course, there's lots of conversations about what that means to you, the consumer, and how we can most effectively help you. One of the best resources that the SCRS puts out is their news organization called Repair Driven News. You hear us reference the Repair Driven News many, many times, and that's because they really do cover all of the industry related news. And in many cases, we find breaking news that absolutely affects you, and we try to bring that to you. And finally, in this brief conversation today, I want to share with you another resource, and that is the Crash Network and their Insurer's Report Card. Now, we've shared this resource a number of times over the years, and it's my pleasure to share it again as they are currently doing their research for the next report card that is coming out soon. And the reason that you want to look at this, and I think in the last report card, there were 88 insurers that were graded on an A through F level, and you find out who's doing a great job, not necessarily because they're making the most money or running the most advertising, but because these insurers are graded by the shops themselves, the shop owners and managers. They're the ones that are giving the grades to the insurers. And I think it's an important thing to go through, who's making the grade and surprisingly, who's not. I'll put a link to the last video that we did on the last insurance report card, and you can see where your insurer lines up. And you might be surprised that most of the top name, at least the bigger insurance companies, the ones that you see on television, they don't rank very well. And I don't know if that's a surprise to you or not, but there's some insight in that report, and I think that's something that you should be aware of as well. So I think I've covered a couple of different resources that you can go to. We've got, obviously, the airing of grievances right here on this YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, get after that right now. It's free, and it tells YouTube that you should be notified when we post new content. Secondarily, we talked about SCRS, the Society of Collision Repair Specialists, and their sister organization, if you will, Repair Driven News. Now, a lot of that stuff is for industry, but you'll find gems and very useful information about the vehicles that maybe you are looking for in your next purchase, and where they rank and how they do the things that they do and what that means to you when it comes to possibly getting your vehicle repaired in a collision experience. And then, of course, we talked about the Crash Network and their insurance report card. I think those four entities, and there's probably many more, but when it comes specifically to the consumer advocacy side, I think those entities are probably the biggest ones that we can refer and recommend. And of course, you've heard us talk a bunch of times. This is not an honorable mention, but this is maybe a bonus one. Check out Auto Damage Experts. If you ever have the need for somebody to give a second opinion or to do a post-repair inspection for your vehicle, we can speak with great authority that David over there and his father Barrett, at Auto Damage Experts are doing an amazing job at taking care of consumers who might not be aware that they are leaving money on the table in the process of negotiating with their insurance company after a collision and after a repair. So all of those things are there for you to consider. And I hope this has been helpful for you. I know it's a short video, but I'm making it short so that you can get on with your day. And I got some digging out. We literally got about 3 feet of snow where I live, and I've got a lot of digging to go. So on behalf of Rob Grieve, myself, everybody here, I don't even have a cup of coffee today to say happy Saturday, but the happy Saturday is still there, and I wish to see you again next week. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to share this with others.